To discuss all this, I'm now joined by our Politics Monday team. That's Amy Walter of the Cook Political Report and Public Radio's Politics with Amy Walter, and Tamara Keith of NPR. She also co-hosts the NPR Politics Podcast. Hello to both of you. Hello. It is Politics Monday. There's a lot going on. We're just, 21 days from the Iowa caucuses. So, Amy, let's start with these polls. Friday, we have the poll come out, the Iowa Des Moines Register poll with Bernie Sanders on top. A lot of conversation. Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Joe Biden kind of bunched several points behind him. But then today, there's another poll, and we're showing our viewers the Monmouth poll that has Joe Biden on top with 24%. And then bunched behind him, Bernie Sanders, Pete Buttigieg, and Elizabeth Warren. How do we read this?
Right?
What's going on?
You know what would the best thing to do at this point is to say, one of those four people could win the nomination, and no one should be surprised on election night if one of those four ends up in first place. The real question in my mind is, who has the most to lose or gain by losing, right? And so if you are Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, and Bernie Sanders, Iowa really is a sort of slingshot for you. They are all hoping that a win in Iowa is going to give them needed momentum to overtake the person who's leading in the national polls, which is Joe Biden, and to give them momentum going into New Hampshire. And maybe that's enough to undercut Joe Biden's lead nationally and in some of these states that come afterward. If you're Joe Biden, you can afford to lose Iowa, but you can't come too far back, right? It's one thing being a close second or a close third, but if you're far enough back, then suddenly the debate becomes, okay, well, if Joe Biden flops, who's going to be able to come and take up that mantle?
So, and Tam, we have, as we said, it is 21 days between now, and so who knows what could happen.
Right.
But are we seeing the shape of this race or not?
We have pretty consistently seen those four people at the top. Now, there's been a lot of movement in that top pack, but pretty consistently, they've been the top four. And the caucuses are this fascinating thing in Iowa, where, as you both know very well, they go to gymnasiums, they go to big rooms, and if a candidate isn't viable in that room, then people are persuading their neighbors. So second choice matters a lot in Iowa, and the fact that they are all so close and that so many voters say they haven't really decided and they could support other people, it just puts a lot of volatility into this race.
And it means that whatever we're talking about for the next 3 weeks is going to matter. What we're talking about the week before voting matters a lot. Are we talking about impeachment? Are we talking about Iran? Are we talking about health care? That can fit into one of those various candidates' wheelhouse, or something that's more of a problem for them.
More of a problem. Well, one person we're not going to be talking about is Cory Booker. He showed up, I guess, 7th in the Iowa poll, Des Moines Register poll, 6th in the Monmouth poll. But Amy, what do we know about what was behind his decision?
Well, what he said was behind it is what he said sort of publicly all along, which was, I've had a lot of trouble raising the money that you need to keep a national campaign going. But I think what it really speaks to is how difficult it is to break through, even as a well-established political figure here in Washington, into a field that was so crowded, but with two really big names. Everybody knows who Joe Biden is, everybody knows who Bernie Sanders is, and what their brand is, right? You know what you get with Joe Biden, you know what you get with Bernie Sanders. Breaking through with your own unique message and identity is a lot harder than it looks. And this is what's really remarkable. Here we are, 3 weeks away from Iowa. We have a Democratic Party that is all about, and their voters are women. They're women, voters of color, younger voters, and at top of the polls are 3 older white folks and 3 white men, and only 1 woman.
And only one being Elizabeth Warren. Amy Klobuchar are still trying very hard in Iowa. And in the meantime, all this is going on. Tam, you have this, I guess, sniping, you could call it, that's surfacing between Bernie Sanders and, on the one hand, a little bit with Joe Biden over his Iraq war vote, but then new sniping between him and Elizabeth Warren. What does that say to you about Bernie and Elizabeth?
Well, I mean, there was a non-aggression pact, and it seems that the non-aggression pact has been broken. And I think it's not a coincidence that the sniping is happening right ahead of this last debate before the caucuses. This is a critical moment. And you know, they're sniping at each other in relatively nice ways, mostly talking, the candidates themselves sort of talking about how they're disappointed in the other candidate's campaign and how disappointing this all is. But it does point to the fact that that Elizabeth Warren is a candidate who stands in the way of Bernie Sanders being able to completely consolidate progressive support. And if you look at the field, there's definitely a split. There are progressive candidates and there are more moderate establishment candidates, and if you add them up, they're about equal numbers. Bernie Sanders, as a candidate in a campaign, sees a path potentially to winning the nomination, or at least gaining a whole lot of momentum. And Elizabeth Warren is someone who, more than any other candidate, stands in that path.
If they're going to distinguish themselves, Amy, they need to do it quickly, don't they? Soon.
Yes, and I think they have distinguished themselves. Yes. Clearly, people know who they are and what they stand for. The challenge is they haven't been able to, as Tam pointed out, nobody's been able to really consolidate that sort of progressive wing. And so I doubt you're going to see a fight between them on the debate stage. It doesn't do either of them any good to get in a public fight there. But what you will see going into the caucuses is each of them trying to put the debate on terms, the debate of, not of the debate of the actual standing on stage, but what Democrats are talking about is what they are comfortable talking about. Elizabeth Warren wants this to be a debate about the economy. Bernie Sanders would love to be talking about health care, and Joe Biden, of course, would love to be talking about experience.
Well, one other figure who's not going to be on the debate stage is President Trump, Tam, but he is tweeting like mad and belittling. I mean, it's more than sniping. Tough. You know, he talked about, he made fun of basically of Cory Booker dropping out. He calls Mike Bloomberg mini Mike Bloomberg. He talks about he's still talking about Elizabeth Warren as Pocahontas. Can the candidates just essentially ignore this?
They largely have been. President Trump has a nickname for everyone. He had a nickname for everyone in 2015, 2016. I would say get used to the tweeting. It's going to continue. There's nothing that's going to change about it. He wants to be part of the conversation. He is trying to inject himself into the conversation. I mean, we're talking about him right now. Also, another sign of that, he has announced a rally the Thursday before the caucuses in Des Moines.
We saw that.
Yeah. Do we have time for one more thing? No.
Okay. You're going to have to hold it
next week. Next week I'll make it.
You can tweet about it.
That's what I'll do.
Amy Walter, Tam Keith, thank you very much.
You're welcome.